Okay, I think this is the right spot. So hi everyone, welcome back. Samuel here. Welcome back to another video. It started raining. Shit. So today I want to revisit the GR3. It's been 2 years since I got my first GR3 and it has been a fun time. Although I ventured into Leica a little bit. The Leica SL, Leica M262. Yeah, I want to talk about my setup, how I used the GRs in 2022, how I like them, am I still happy? There are a bunch of things that I now discovered after using them for a while. And we are also going to look at all the accessories, like the teleconverter, the wide-angle conversion lens, I have the viewfinders, I also have the GR3X Urban Edition, so we will nerd out about that as well. I'm here at the Hamburger Dome, which is an annual fair next to the red light district. And it's always a good place to, warm up and do some documentary style photography, because people here don't really care about photography that much. So, and it's been a while since I did any street photography, so let's go. Yeah, and it stopped raining almost. Okay. Hey, first try oder was?
Dear visitors, welcome to the Hamburger Dome.
Okay, first thing I want to talk about is the one-handed operation of the GR cameras. That's something I really appreciate, because right now I'm holding a selfie stick with a 360 camera and I can still use my GRs and set them up manually if I want to. So it's really freeing, not having to use both hands for taking pictures. I could eat ice cream right now and still take pictures. I can even change cameras, if I want to shoot 40. Shit. And now in theory it works, but so I like that. So they just opened the fair officially, but what I really like about this fair is to come early and see everyone setting everything up, and we kind of missed that already because we were filming the intro. But yeah, it's still nice, the weather's nice, harsh contrast, and also I'm not alone today. I have a filmer with me. This is David, who's here to help me film. So all the nice B-roll, all the credit goes to him. Let me show you my current GR setup. So how do I leave my house when I want to do street photography? So I have my GR3X around my neck, and then I have my GR3 Street Edition in my jacket pocket. And I like to have my GR3 around my wrist or have it in my hands because it's wide. So I want to be, mobile. And the GR3X, because it's a 40 equivalent, I don't, need to stretch my arms. So yeah, this is my setup and I'm pretty happy with it because it covers all the ranges that I need for street photography. And I'm also using this lens hood here from Square Hood, which I don't really need, but it looks kind of nice. It reminds me of my 28 Elmarit that I used to own. I think it has the same shape. And whenever I don't need it, I can just take it off and then it fits in any pocket. But today I kind of need this as a protection. Because the weather is nice now, but you saw it in the intro. In Hamburg it always rains and the sun is shining at the same time. It's crazy here. So that gives me a little bit of a peace of mind that my lens is not going to get wet. Yeah, this is it. 2022 GR3 setup. coming home. This is my spot. I'm not going to leave. This is my place. Okay, let's go back into the city. Man, it is so loud. I don't know if you can hear my voice, but I will try to keep talking. So I just realized that I'm not used to shooting 28 anymore. With my GR3X, I got so used to shooting on my GR3X that I see in 40 more than 28. And then also, because this is not really a 40, it's a 26. So it does feel wider than a real 40. So yeah, it's a little confusing, but it takes me a little bit of time getting used to this again. So let's talk about LCD shooting versus viewfinder. I have no issue using the LCD screen. I know a lot of you guys who are purists, you swear by the viewfinder, and I get it. You want to see the world with your eyes. I think the LCD screen actually offers a better experience for me on the street than a viewfinder. The way the LCD screen works for me is I don't want to say it's an extension of me, but it is kind of an extension of me because it enables me to put my eyes in multiple locations. Like I can do this and take a photo, I can do that. I don't need to be physically in the space of someone, or you know how it is on the street. Sometimes you want to go closer, but you can't. That's where the GR, shines. And then my friend Carl from Street Shooter, he in his GR3 review, he said exactly what I was feeling, but I couldn't put it into words.
I'm typically an eye-level viewfinder kind of guy. I enjoy the precision of framing my shots with an enlarged image, especially one where I can dial in my eyeglasses prescription into the diopter. But when I look at an EVF, I'm often nagged by the sense that I'm looking in the camera. The image appears in real time, the image quality is fantastic. A lot of times it looks like reality. Modern EVFs are so good that you don't really realize that you're looking at an electronic image anymore. But it almost seems to be separated from reality by the simple fact that it's in the camera. This is just my sense of it. This is not based on any kind of science. It's just the way I feel when I use an EVF. But when I shoot with an LCD, it takes me out of the camera and back into the action. I can see the entire scene around the camera as events are unfolding in real time. The camera almost becomes an extension of my mind's eye, and I find I'm able to create vibrant images that are alive with the immediacy of the moment. Something I never was able to really do when I was shooting with an EVF. My composition is not as precise as it was when I was shooting with the EVF, but I don't care. I'm a little bit more interested in this concept of the psychology of the frame. I'm a little bit interested in what's happening, not how I arranged the thing. It's a different way of thinking about photography, and it's something that I've really grown to enjoy as a result of using GR3.
So I agree with him. That's a good way to put it. So yeah, it's a little inconvenient. Sometimes I would love to have a flip-up screen. It's, when it's bright, it's not always easy to see, but it enables me to feel more present in a scene. And also, I can look down onto my screen and no one knows where I'm looking at. I could do this and my eyes look in this direction, but I'm actually taking a photo here. It's a little sneaky, but it does work and it is very helpful. So I have no issue. I have a nice big optical viewfinder camera at home that I also enjoy, but EVFs, not an issue. So get over it. Okay, we're taking a little break and I want to talk about accessories right now. I have here a bunch of accessories for my GR3 and GR3X. And let's do a little nerd session here. So first of all, my GS3 Street Edition. I really like to use this silver ring here, and this is not from Ricoh, this is you can get it from Nisi, and I just like the look. This here is the wrist strap of the GS3 X Urban Edition, which is, by the way, it has the same finish as the Street Edition. So all you get is this new, I think they call it night blue ring, which looks absolute killer on the black GS3X. Yeah, like I said in the beginning, I use this adapter. Again, this is from Nisi and this is from Squarehood. Very important, a must-have in my opinion, is a little thumb rest. Without this one, my GR feels naked. I need this. And you can buy this on eBay from China, very cheap. There's also one from JJC on Amazon, and it just makes the holding experience a little bit more comfortable, more secure, especially because you are doing, movements like this with your wrist. So definitely a must-have. And here I have a little grip for the GR. You can fit this one on the GS3X or the GS3. I don't really use this a lot, but it does make the camera a little bit more comfortable, but I think it defeats the purpose of having a small compact camera. So this is how it looks like. Again, this is China.
I have to have my China.
AliExpress or something, I don't remember. It is useful when you want to use one of the conversion lenses. For example, I have the teleconversion lens here. This is the Ricoh GT2, and you need this adapter, which is the GA2, and then you take off that ring, and now you have basically a 60mm field of view. But what Ricoh does is, I didn't know this. When I tried out this teleconversion lens, I was just taking pictures and didn't think about it. When I came home and I looked at my RAW files, the resolution was less than 24 megapixels. So that was a little weird. And then, it clicked in my head that probably Ricoh was turning on the crop mode, and that's actually the case. So there's a crop mode engaged to make this a 75mm equivalent. I don't know why they did that, maybe to correct the lens in camera, not quite sure, but I have a little hack. So if you want to use this without the crop, you can put a little tape here on the contacts, and then the camera doesn't recognize the conversion lens, and you can just shoot it basically at 60mm. I haven't used it a lot on the street because autofocus becomes a little slower, but it is useful. If you want to shoot portraits, for example, this can be very handy. I took pictures of my son and they look quite good. Sharpness is very good in the center. It's a little soft in the corners, but and also it makes the camera a little bigger. So, but it is an option. And then we have the wide angle conversion lens for the GR3, which makes the GR3 a 21mm camera, full frame equivalent again. Again, you just take off the ring, and then now for this converter or conversion lens, it's a different one from the GS3X. This is the GR1 and this is the GA2. Honestly, I don't use this conversion lens that much anymore, but I used it a lot whenever there was a street festival, or this environment is actually perfect for this. But again, it makes the camera a little bigger. Now, before you ask what strap this is, and this is self-made, so you can't buy this. My mother-in-law made this for me. This is a Japanese material, and I've been working on them since 2019, and I wish I can sell them to you guys, but it's a little difficult. I went to a factory in Japan, or actually more than one, and they all said it's a little difficult to make them this small. But so please don't ask me anymore. It's not you can't buy this. I'm sorry. Maybe someday. If you know how to manufacture straps, contact me, please. Okay, next I want to talk about the viewfinder accessories. So we have two types of viewfinders. We have this small one, which has frame lines, only one pair of frame lines, and this one has two pairs of frame lines. And this is the GV1. This is for the Ricoh GR3, and this has 28mm frame lines and 21, because now you can use it with the 21mm conversion lens, and it's very bright and clear. And I don't find them too useful because they're just optical viewfinders without any. There's no information showing in the viewfinder, so it's basically like looking through glass. If you ask me if you need one, I would say for the GR3X it makes more sense because you have a tighter frame. On the GR, I got so used to it, I don't really need a viewfinder to see my framing. And because of the wide angle character of the viewfinder, there's a little bit of a parallax inconsistencies or whatever. So it is hard to get clean compositions. On the 40, it's a little easier. So I like using mine on the 40. On the 28, I just use the screen. This place has a lot of potential, but I want more people. I need people here. Okay, so I just stepped out of the fair because it's way too loud, and I want to talk about a very important and new feature. Ricoh just added a new feature via firmware last week, and it's called Snap Focus Priority. And it's honestly, I wouldn't say game changer because it doesn't really change, you know, the technique is the same, but it makes life so much easier. It is basically auto aperture hyperfocal distance shooting. So hyperfocal distance is the distance that gives you the most depth of field for your aperture. So for example, if you want to shoot at f4, then I don't know on the top of my head, but the hyperfocal distance for that would be maybe 3 or 4 meters, I'm not sure. That's why I use auto cameras to do the work for me. So you all know the snap mode, right? You set your distance, you fully press the shutter, and then the camera will jump to the distance you set it to and take a shot. Now normally you would have to take care of shutter speed and aperture and ISO, but with this new Snap Focus Priority mode, it has 3 different depths of field priority levels. It shows me the depth of field I get, and the camera sets the aperture for me. In street shooting, I at least like to have everything in focus. Ideally I would have everything in focus. I don't need shallow depth of field for street shooting because I want, you know, a lot of context in the frame. So foreground elements, background elements, and that's where this is very handy because now I don't even need to think about aperture anymore. You know, I just set my ISO. I don't even need to think about shutter speed anymore actually. And the camera does it all for me. All I do is I think about the distances, and then the camera sets the aperture so that, you know, I get the foreground and background in focus. Yeah, that's seriously so helpful and so useful. And I set it up that way that I activate Snap Focus Priority by pressing on that button here, the movie button. And then I can go, if I press it again, it goes back to select AF. So I use autofocus and then use full press snap by using the shutter button. But I also use the touchscreen to activate the full press snap and release, which is actually my preferred way of using snap focus. But then when I press the movie button, which I can't do one-handed right now, all I do is I change the distances, you know? David, for example, is like 1 meter away from me. I set it to 1 meter. I take a photo, and then ideally the background is also in focus because the camera sets the right aperture for my hyperfocal distance. Oh, it's complicated. But try it out and you will see it is so useful. I hope that was clear enough. All right, so a week has passed and I'm not at the Dome anymore, and I realized back then that I totally forgot to film an outro and we ran out of time. So let's do it now. So yeah, Ricoh GS3X and Ricoh GS3, my final thoughts after using them for 2 years. I still very much love them. This is how I started street photography back in 2013. It was my first GR. I experimented using the Fuji cameras and Leica, but every time I grab a GR, I just feel so comfortable. And you know, for me the GRs are all about pocketability. Yeah, you can basically have them anywhere with you, and that's the appeal of these cameras. They're so small, they're good for traveling, for street photography, taking pictures of your family. There were instances where I wasn't allowed to bring a camera, but I still had my GR with me, so that's always a benefit. I took a lot of my favorite street photographs on my GS3, and as you might know, I did the GR project, traveled all around the world just using the GR, and it has been an amazing experience. And yeah, the GS3 isn't perfect, so isn't the GS3X. There are a bunch of bugs, and people know of this back wheel issue. You know, after half a year, mine started to become glitchy and until it became unusable. Luckily, there's a fix. You can use the front eye instead, and I use exposure compensation with the adjustment toggle anyways. But there are definitely things that Ricoh has to sort out with the next GR. By the way, I don't know when the next GR is coming out. I really have no idea. My guess would be maybe next year, because it still feels like, I don't know, like this came out a year ago maybe. It doesn't feel like 2 years, honestly. And then there are some other issues like freezing. The camera freezes sometimes. And I found out that it has to do with the battery in most cases. So when you use third-party batteries, the camera starts to glitch sometimes. Also, files can be corrupt if you don't format your card before using the camera. So the GS3s are a little bit sensitive software-wise. But even with these issues in mind, I would still always get a GS3 over, you know, another big camera. I don't want to say any names because, yeah, let's not start a camera war here. I love all kinds of cameras. I have a big camera at home, big full-frame camera. But for street photography, family gatherings, events, I even took photos of the birth of my son on the GR3, and that was perfect for that. So yeah, I can't live without this camera anymore, and it has become my desert island camera. So yeah, I'm still very much enjoying it. Image quality is more than decent enough. For example, this is a 60 by 40 centimeter print shot with the GR3, 24 megapixels. And this is the maximum print size I would go for if you really want to see details and look at your prints this close. Yeah, there's plenty of sharpness. So printing big, not a problem. And also, I know this is not a reason to get a camera, but for a lot of us superficial photographers, we also care how the cameras look and feel. And I personally think that the GR3 line of cameras, not the GR2 but the GR3, is the best looking GR so far. I like that it is smaller, everything is on the right side. I like how it feels, nothing is sharp, there are no sharp edges, and it feels very thought out. And there's a video of the designer, the product designer of the GR3 on the, I think the Japanese Ricoh GR channel. And unfortunately it's just in Japanese. But seeing that, seeing him talk about the design, what went into it, made me appreciate this current design so much more. Oh, IBIS, I haven't talked about IBIS yet. I love the image stabilization of the GS3 because it allows me to take pictures in almost pitch black darkness, and I can comfortably shoot at the 20th of a second, one-handed, and with two hands maybe 1/4 of a second. Yeah, sometimes even 1 second. So the GS3 is really a really good low light camera if you don't mind a slow shutter speed. So that's another big plus. For me personally, you don't need to like it, but I like it a lot. Thank you, Rico. Yeah, GS3, GS3X, it is nice. I know there are a lot of haters of these cameras because you need a viewfinder and maybe you think this is too expensive for what you're getting. But are there any alternatives? I don't think so. I don't think so. There are no alternatives so far. So, but I'm not here to sell you the camera. This is just my user experience using these for 2 years. I'm repeating myself. So thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully this is my last GS3 video. Yeah, I think this is my last one. Okay. Happy snapping, snapshot, snap mode, 28, 40, viewfinder, accessories, all the links in the description. You talking to me? Are you talking to me? Who else you are talking to? Are you talking to me? Who the f you think you're talking to? Huh? All right. Oh yeah. Still got it.